Hi, friends. I thought I'd come on and just, it's my 3-year Mexiversary, 3 years anniversary of my being in Mexico. There's a way to say that. That's better than what I just tried to tried to do, but I murdered. Um, so I wanted to come on and share my thoughts about the last 3 years since making that fateful journey, on a 3-hour cruise. Really, it was kind of a 3-hour plane trip, I think, with just my dog Gracie and 5 suitcases. After selling everything I owned, and I came down here. I started my job at Vedanta, and after I left Vedanta, spent, I, jumped in full feet first and opened the bookstore cafe, the living room bookstore and cafe. And it's been quite a ride. So what are my thoughts? What do I think now, 3 years into this? At one point, a friend of mine, Shell, he had said, when I opened my business, he was like, wow, good for you. I see a lot of people that come down here with dreams, and in, a couple of years, they go back, they limp back home. And I kept thinking, oh, please don't let that be me. Please don't let that be me. Um, and, boy, I'm limping, but I'm not going back home. Um, so I guess we'll start there. It's been difficult, and it's been difficult for everybody in the entire world. So I'm not saying anything new, and it's definitely not a poor me. Um, this has just been an amazingly difficult time all around the world. And my timing for opening my store wasn't great, but it's still open. And we're getting ready to expand our hours again for the high season. So a lot of optimism going forward, knowing that we can recover. We really can. And with the help of the community here and the support from family and friends I've made that are now all over the world again, I think we can do this. We can make this happen. So moving down here, I was telling a story a little bit ago how when I moved down here, I think it's almost a rite of passage to fall. You just kind of fall a lot when you get here. I mean, physically, absolutely physically fall down. It's the sidewalks are, broken, the cobblestones. Um, you're really not paying attention, or I wasn't paying attention to where I was going. A lot of different things, and I really, I probably preaching to the choir here, but you're you're more dehydrated than you think you are. You think, oh, I drink plenty of water. No, no, you don't. Oh, I drink the electrolytes. You're not drinking enough. Um, and if you're drinking alcohol or caffeine, or eating salty tortilla chips and tacos, then you're definitely getting more dehydrated than you think you are, and you don't even know it. And that causes people to get dizzy and fall. So that is my first advice to anybody new here in Puerto Vallarta, is you got to drink more water and drink the electrolytes. There's a reason that they sell so much of it in the stores here. That the nationals know, they know to drink this stuff. I had never seen electrolytes like that. I saw Pedialytes, that I would give my kids when they were sick so that they didn't get dehydrated, but I didn't know it was a thing. But it's a thing. So whether it was the cobblestone streets or the broken sidewalks or the, weird stairs that I wasn't expecting inside the units I was renting, or dehydration, or, just the whirl of being in all new and having to be on your toes so much, I would fall a lot. and big, huge falls, like huge bruises all over my body. And I kind of thought it was funny. I mean, it just was like, ha ha, here we go, you know. Um, and then in February of 2020, it was the night of our very first psychic fair at the Living Room Bookstore. And I was walking with one of our favorite psycho tarot readers, Susan, and hopefully Susan will be back when we're back and doing the psychic fairs. But and you can find her information, Susan, on the website, the livingroombookstore.com/psychic fair. So if you need a good tarot reader, her information is there as well as some of the other people that have read for us in our store. But this isn't a plug for the store, sorry. Anyway, Susan and I were walking back from my store to my condo, and I tripped and fell, boom, flat on my face. It was a Thursday night market, so the street was packed with people and vendors getting ready and everything, and hit my face, and people, you know, the people were lovely, came running to my aid, picked me up. Um, you know, they told me later they thought I lost some teeth because of the blood. And I remember one of the guys that picked me up was this really good-looking young man, and I was looking in his glasses because he had mirrored glasses on, and I was trying to see how bad it was. And he's like going, you know, and I'm like, hold still. And I'm looking in his eyes, and I think he thought I was, you know, definitely had a concussion. You know, but I just wanted to see how bad it was. Because the look on everybody's face was like, oh, this is bad. Um, but I got back home, cleaned up, and yes, it, you know, big old goose egg right here, and black eyes, and the whole bit. Um, and again, I kind of thought it was funny, had a little bit of concussion. I ended up going to emergency room, I think later that day, and I think the next day, just to make sure that, you know, there was no serious damage, and just a concussion. Stayed in bed for a week. But my dear brother, he's like, no, I don't believe you're falling that much. I think you're getting beaten up. I want you to come home. And it's like, no, you know, I'm not. I swear, I'm not getting beaten up. Nobody's abusing me. Nobody, you know, I just fall. I fall a lot. So that was my, you know, I think my rite of passage being here in Mexico. Some of the other things was I was reading this morning from my Facebook memories from 3 years ago when I first landed, and I had an Airbnb in Bucerias, and the adventure of going to an OXXO for the first time and trying to figure out what was there to eat and not being able to read the labels and had no idea what snack food I was grabbing, but I was grabbing some snack food. Um, and then walking across 4 lanes of highway to get get back to the Airbnb, and you know, in that area the streets are dirt, and there's chickens on the road, and there's stray dogs, and I'm trying, you know, my little foo-foo Gracie, my little city dog, who's you know, yeah, her wild adventure was being let loose on the schoolyard behind me. Um, you know, we're got these street dogs coming up to us, and it's just been that kind of an adventure ever since. Navigating the language barrier, that is huge, folks. I really, because when you're here on vacation, you don't realize, you think, oh, many people speak English. Enough people speak English that you're going to be able to get by until you can learn some Spanish. And the reality is, the only people when you're here on vacation that you're really interacting with is the tourist industry. And they do speak English because they're managing the tourism. And I'm sorry if I'm shaking this. I'm trying not to. It's kind of on my lap. But, you know, they're managing the tourism, the tourists, so they speak English. But when you live here day to day, you know, the grocery store, the OXXOs, you know, many of the taxi drivers just outside of the tourist area, they don't speak English. I mean, this they don't have to. This is Mexico. The Spanish is the language, and I always apologize for not being able to speak their language. That I'm in Mexico, it's on me to speak Spanish. Um, that being said, and I have a whole other video about this. There's back in the U.S. when people were speaking other languages, it used to bother me a lot when other people would get mad at them or say bad things to them. Like, you're in America now, speak English. And it's like, no, stop. Don't be rude. Um, it would, I hated when people did that. And I thought it was just ugly Americans. No, it turns out that, there's people like that here too. I get scolded for not knowing Spanish. And not everybody. I mean, many people are just appreciative that I try and that I'm trying to learn. And they don't quite understand that I'm not learning fast enough. I've been here 3 years and I don't know very much, but at the same time, they just, you know, I haven't been a lady of leisure while I'm here. I don't have the time to focus on lessons. I'm focusing on just the lesson of how to run a business in Mexico, which is a very, 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 very different thing than running a business in the U.S. So if you're thinking about coming down and running a business, start there, stop there, whatever you need to do. Get it out of your head that you can just do what you're doing in the U.S. or Canada and come down here and just do that there. Do that here. No. The laws are very, very different. The systems are very different. How the systems are set up makes the way you interact with people very different. So the leadership skills that I had built and cultivated in the U.S. for my business relationships were they're not suited down here, and it doesn't work that way. So the things that I would do, the system doesn't allow for that to work here. And you have to approach your leadership here in a very different way. Now, there's other things that do work. Obviously, kindness is always top of the leadership's skills, no matter where you live in the world. You always be kind. Always approach life with gratitude. Always approach your employees with gratitude. But other things, it just works differently. So, learning that. I have lived in a number of different places since I first moved here, and I kind of knew that going into it, that keep traveling light, because this is not, a lot of the expats that I had met and talked to prior to coming down and even after I moved here have lived in a number of different places. And like 12 places in 3 years or something like that. And it's just because you're going from neighborhood to neighborhood to see where you want to live. You realize that you're paying too much money living where you are, and you can get a better rate if you just move a couple of blocks. Things, in my case, I've always stayed in the marina because of the bookstore. And I started here in the marina because it was easy access to Vedanta when I was working. And I had a nice, very expensive condo that I had pre-rented, I had paid for. And then I rented a room out in that condo, and that gentleman left without paying me. Bless his heart. So, that was $3,000 he ended up owing me in the end. So, left there, went down to cut that way down. Went to another condo that was just not of my liking. I didn't like the building. The energy wasn't good. The furniture, it wasn't for me. It was a contentious situation with the landlord, and I had to leave, and I left a lot of money on the table walking away from that. Found a beautiful condo that in a beautiful building in the marina, and loved it there. Was there for almost a year, but that's when the pandemic hit. And I held on to it for as long as I could. I had a roommate who was absolutely lovely. She moved back in with her daughter when the pandemic hit for safety reasons, and because we didn't know how long it was going to be, they just held on to her room and kept paying for it month after month, hoping that she could come back. And eventually it became clear that that wasn't sustainable. So she had to move on, and I had to move out. I wasn't going to be able to find a new roommate in the summer of 2020, with COVID raging everywhere. So I was, again, very, very fortunate that the community here in Puerto Vallarta pulled some strings and reached out to other community members who had gone back home, and found a condo that is their winter condo, and they offered it to me, knowing that they weren't going to come back that winter, last winter, because of the pandemic. And so they offered it to me, which I'm very grateful for. And actually, this is where I'm still at now, a year later. And it looks like I'll be here, for probably for the foreseeable future through this winter. So I found a place to live. I'm grateful. It's a nice place. It's walking distance to the store, and everything I need is right here. It's, let's see, what else? I've met some amazing friends, really some really great friends, a lot of like-minded people. The thing about Puerto Vallarta is whatever your lifestyle is, you can find it here. So if you like to, get together with friends and go out to dinner every night and, drink wine or drink tequila or, get shit-faced drunk, I should probably not say that. I don't think YouTube likes stuff like that. Anyway, whatever you like to do, you can find your tribe here, which is not always easy. In certain cities where people have grown up and that is the culture of that city, where you don't have a lot of transient people moving in, moving out. I'm thinking like cities like Milwaukee and Kansas City. Those kind of cities. Not so much New York or Portland or Seattle or Los Angeles, where you got people moving in and out all the time. And certainly not Puerto Vallarta, because this is a very transient city. Las Vegas is a very transient city. You got people coming and going, moving in, moving out. So where was I with that? Okay. But the benefit to that is that you have different people coming in and moving out. So you always have a flow of different types of people and different types of lifestyles. And you also have the ability to reach out and get to know other people and other types of lifestyles. Now, yeah, I don't know if I mentioned, but I have long-term recovery, so in sobriety. So I don't drink. So I don't go out. I don't go out at night. It's not fun for me. And that's okay. I have a little FOMO, fear of missing out, especially the next day when I hear about how much fun everybody had at the karaoke bar. It's like, oh, that does sound like fun. But I know from decades of experience, if I go to something like that, it's just not as fun for me as the fun that everybody else is having. I find my fun in other ways. So, and that's the great thing too about Puerto Vallarta is that you can do that. In my case, I found really like-minded spiritual people. Um, and I keep, that you got to keep weeding through that. I'm sure if you're part of the drinking crowd, you have to weed through that as well. I think that's just part of life, really. Um, what else? What else have I learned since being in Puerto Vallarta? Um, it's getting easier. Going to the grocery store was such a difficult task when I first moved here, and I am finding that a little bit easier. Uh, it is still more exhausting than you would think doing some of the simple tasks. You can't read the signs. That makes a difference. Um, but when you immerse yourself and you have no choice, eventually you catch on. It just kind of sinks in, and you just move forward. And I don't know if it would have happened sooner, faster, had the pandemic not happened, and life could have gone on at a normal pace. But that's not where we're at. So 3 years into it, I'm still struggling with that. And but I felt the fear and I did it anyway. I took the leap. It was a leap of faith. It was a leap of courage. It was a leap of wanting and demanding that I create a better life for myself. And that is what I do. And that's what I will continue to do, however things turn out. And, sometimes things don't turn out like you think. Um, and again, we all know that. I'm not saying anything that anybody doesn't know. But I think that's it. That's kind of a wrap up how I feel now 3 years into this. Um, do I regret it? No. No, I really don't regret it. Am I homesick? Absolutely not. I look back at the U.S. and I think I don't see anything there that I want to go back to. My children, I mean, I miss them and would love to see them. And had the pandemic not happened, I'm sure I would have visited them more often, and they definitely would have been visiting me. But again, this is the way it is in life right now. All over the world, families are separated, and the fortunate few that are able to get away and travel are doing so, and it warms my heart to see my friends traveling and seeing their friends and their grandbabies, and just kind of getting back on their feet, because there was so much depression, um, so much anxiety. But we're coming through this. The movie with John Cusack. It was one of the disaster movies. I think it was Earthquake or 6.0, or no, it was bigger than 6.0. 2012. I think that was it. and it's, giant earthquakes and tidal waves, and they knew climate change happened quicker. I think that was it. I might be getting my disaster films mixed up, but the one with John Cusack. Um, and I remember California falling into the ocean, because growing up in California, that was something that we've always heard. That an earthquake was going to come and California was going to fall into the ocean. So I remember that as a child. But in the movie, it did. And, long story short, in the end, they had all the world built these arcs in China, and the nations chose the chosen few that would survive the end of the world. And after, I don't know, 6 months or a year on the ark, um, they decide to open the doors, and they realize where they are, and they're at the Cape of Good Hope, and John Cusack walks out with his, ex-wife, who they're now back in love, and his kids, because her new husband had died in the trauma. Anyway, I think about those movies. I'm like, nobody's traumatized. They all just lost everything, their families, everything. And they walk out, and they're at the Cape of Good Hope, and the sun is shining, and they're just like, oh, it's a new day, it's a new dawn. And you're going, you know, you're thinking, you guys just lost everything. You went through just trauma surviving, and a lot of the people you know and love didn't survive. How can you be happy? Well, I kind of feel that now. I feel like we're coming out on the other side of this, and there's a new day and a new dawn. And, you know, we're coming out on the trauma, and it doesn't mean that we're forgetting the people that we've lost. And sadly are still losing, but there is hope, and I can see hope in the future. So with that, here we are. So welcome to my the launch. This is my 3rd anniversary, so this is going into my 4th year of Puerto Vallarta, and in a few days will be the soft opening anniversary of the bookstore, and that will be heading into the 3rd year of the bookstore. Geez. Again, come to the bookstore. I'm going to need you. I'm going to need you to buy lots and lots of books, and bring your good books so that we can resell them and survive. It's a new day. It's a new dawn. There's more to that song, but I can't think what it is. Anyways, I'm hungry. I have a salad waiting for me, and thank you guys, and sorry for my rambling, but if you listened to me this far, thank you. And I'm going to ask you to like and subscribe to this the YouTube channel. I'll probably post this on Facebook as well, but go to my YouTube channel, which I'll put in the post, and like and subscribe. I do have some videos that I have done, but I've been in a very depressed state this last week, kind of going through some rough things, and really didn't want to do videos in that state. It's one thing to be clear and honest. It's another to be like, oh, this is just shit. This is, nobody wants to hear that. So I want to be true and honest with you, but do it in as happy a place as I can manage. And if I can't manage happy enough, where I can't even stand to be around myself, I'm sure not going to inflict that on you. So if there's a week or 2 weeks where there's not a video, 1, know I'm okay, but 2, I'm protecting you from me. So, okay, thanks folks. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye.